This is Off the Record, unfiltered stories from recruitment leaders. No pitches, no playbooks, just real stories from real people who've been in the trenches. I'm Alex Fairs, and each episode I'm going to sit down with someone who's lived it. The wins, the failures, the decisions that kept them up at night, all the stuff that rarely makes it onto LinkedIn. So let's get into it. My guest today started his career managing a £4 million students' union at Reading University before becoming a top 10 revenue producer at one of the world's biggest staffing firms. Over 25 years, Andy Hallett has risen through the ranks at SThree, led global change projects, founded recruitment tech products, advised AI startups, and now runs Recspand, helping agencies go from startup to scale up to exit. He's also built RecWired, a thriving community for recruitment leaders. So, Andy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So, take me back. It all started at Reading University. We have some common ground.
We do.
There at the same time, which is crazy coincidence. So, I left there in '98. And you went to, was it a year that you were the president?
Yeah, I was president of the Students' Union, 98 to 99.
Yeah.
Probably what I'd say is the best job in the world.
Yeah, amazing.
Elected a position, but you're basically paid to be a student and run the union for a year.
And you'd been a student there already?
Yeah, I did a degree in politics and international relations, so I was pretty much unemployable. So the only option I had was to get elected and do that job.
Was the gig a 1 year gig only, or?
You could have gone for another year, but I felt your relevance of being a student then, you're representing the student body, and it was just time to move on, grow up.
Yeah.
Also, as well, I was so deeply unpopular, I'd probably have lost if I'd have run again.
So I'm interested to know, what was the journey from there into the world of recruitment? Did you jump in? What took you in? What happened?
I think it's the classic answer you get from anyone that's gone into recruitment. They just fell into it.
Yeah.
And in my case, my best friend was working from Computer Futures, one of the SThree brands. Another friend of mine was working for Progressive, and I just couldn't believe the money they were making.
Yeah.
And they were good people. They're bright, but they weren't salespeople as such. And I'd previously done sales. I'd worked in retail. In the Sony Centre in Fareham. So I learned how to sort of sell, and I was taught by some very good people there. And I felt, wow, if they can do it, then I surely can.
So you followed them in?
Well, they recommended me for to go and work with them, and or I think they might have. They clearly didn't, because I ended up at another brand. So they obviously didn't fancy working with me that much, but obviously fancied the referral fee.
Yeah, nice. So SThree. You have this huge experience. I forget how long you were there, 20 plus years?
I was there 20 years, yeah.
So it does have a reputation in the industry. Ex-SThree people, there are stories, there's success, huge successes in some cases. So you were there for 20 years. How come so long?
I think the reason I was there for so long is I perhaps had 5 or 6 different careers within the organisation. I went through the classic trainee recruitment consultant, through senior, principal, team leader, manager, but then I enjoyed recruitment, but it wasn't the be all and end all for me. So I was lucky enough that the 2 guys who were running Huxley at the time, Mike Smith, Gary Eldon, put me into a role. It's called commercial manager, and I think the thing that I really found was I was able to work with a big train set, and able to do things, and able to do get involved in projects I wasn't qualified to do, like building a CRM, like internationalizing a business, so direct marketing campaigns. So I was just allowed, I guess, a freedom to go and do the next most profitable thing for our brand.
Yeah, amazing. So away from sales, more into commercial, which has clearly led to what happened after that. So you're still in the recruitment game, so to speak, but you've moved in another direction since SThree.
Yeah, so I mean, very much. I was always in the business side. So I'd probably say I was always in the middle of the business. I was the guy who understood sales, who'd done sales, understood how the back office worked, and to the back office, I was the sales guy who could probably translate the needs and the requirements. So I always tended to be, in one of those project meetings as either the representative of the sales team or the representative of the back office team. As global commercial director is such a wide title. So if you ever looking for a commercial director or commercial manager role, it can mean something completely different in every business. But for me, it was very much my core understanding was how international recruitment business works, and that enabled me to do projects that get involved in projects where I learned so much. And that's why I think I kept there for 20 years, and hopefully that's why they kept me for 20 years.
Amazing. So figuring stuff out as you go on the fly, I love it. From those days when you were still at SThree, is there anything that you know now that you'd be doing differently?
It's a really good question. I mean, I think the one thing I would challenge is I don't think PLC is a great vehicle for a recruitment company. I think if I look now at the firms that have different ownership structures, be it private, be it PE, they're able to do things that make sense. And if I think back to my time at SThree, it often felt like we were more dictated by doing the right thing for city analysts than we were potentially for this is the right thing to do for the business. That involves markets we went into, in terms of sort of head counts that we took, in terms of those sort of decisions that would please the analysts, as opposed to this is the right thing to do. So yeah, that would be something. And the other thing I would say is, I think firms could learn a lot for how SThree built what I very much call a machine, and you've seen a few of them come out of there. People like the Frank Group, Faden, they've just built a replicable model. So my takeaway is I haven't seen too many of those since I've left that business, and a lot of businesses I've gone into, I'm feeling right. If you could just make this replicable. Then you could not necessarily have the success of those big companies I talked about, but you'd be a lot further on.
So what's that ideal model, that ideal replicable model? Not getting too big, not change of ownership. What does that structure look like?
The replicable model is starting with a niche and dominating it, and hiring good people, training them well, retaining them, giving them opportunities, giving them a stake in the business, and really I think actually creating a DNA. If you actually look at what I feel, there's a number of things that made things successful, but you can really trace that business back to the DNA that Simon, Bill, and then all of the people that followed bought into it. And I would say that's the biggest thing. I would say that if you can find a formula that works, find a niche or an area that you can dominate, and then just keep going till you've completely dominated.
It's interesting. It's something we talk about in marketing world, in our marketing agency, is being or aiming for a category of one. So niching down, niching again, and really trying to own your category and being that voice, so that you become the dominant choice in that sector, or maybe even the only choice. And it's something that I think is more and more important now, as we're in the beginning of 2026, is having that voice and standing up and being that category of one in your industry. So what happened when you left SThree? What's the next part of your journey?
I took 6 months out, and actually it's probably the first time I've ever had a break of that length. So took 6 months out and headed down to Cape Town. And
what took you to Cape Town? Paragliding?
My family.
Oh, your family.
So for the last 18 months of being at SThree, I was actually, the family had actually moved down there, and I had decided that I'd see out the projects I was going on, and then either the family would come back and because it had worked or it hadn't, or I'd follow down there, and as it turns out, it all worked out and followed down there. So.
And how long have you been there?
Well, then I formed my business, Recspand. So I came back to do a project in March 20, and then we got locked down here.
Yeah.
So
you managed to get home?
No.
No?
No.
You got caught here?
Got caught.
Oh my lord.
So 7 months without the wife and children. They're on the other side of the world doing a lockdown. I'm doing a lockdown. It was pretty tough.
Wow.
During that time, marriage broke down. So by the time I actually got back, we were going through it, and so got back there, bought a house over there because I'd need to be staying out there to see the kids. Went back in December, took the house, and then got locked down in South Africa when the next wave. So COVID for me was basically living out of a large suitcase and a laptop.
Wow.
Whilst building 2 businesses.
Yeah, that's tough. That is tough.
Yeah. So, you said you wanted stories.
Yeah, it's epic, yeah. So, we have a lot of similarities. We're both living overseas and running UK businesses. So there's a lot of similarities with what we're doing. We're based down in southwest France, and all of our clients are UK or US. So it is a challenge. We had lockdown, and we're in, rural southwest France, which is a pretty good place to be. But you've managed to build these 2 businesses. So you've got Recspand and RecWired, 2 different organizations. One, the RecWired side, is really for helping founders, recruitment agencies of all different sizes. You have literally hundreds of members in your organization.
Yeah, approaching 1,000 now.
Wow. So, and they're of all sizes.
Yep. Well, the story of how that started was I'd been working with Dalter. He was sort of looking around loosely for jobs, and then realised I was unemployable. And I ended up where I thought I'd go consulting. So I'd done some work with him and Charlotte on their business consulting, and we were in another membership group actually. And I don't know if you remember where you were, but in those early days of COVID, it was a beautiful summer. So on a Friday night, everyone would get on a Zoom call and drink in their garden, basically. And I was the last man standing with Dalter on that. And we were like, we could do this. And I think probably our excitement, our egos thought, and that's where the Lockdown Leadership Network, as it was established. And we built it. What started after a few drinks as a WhatsApp group. And by the end of the weekend, we got 200 people. And what we realised pretty early on was we've got leaders of CEOs. We've got literally Giles, Russell Clements, people like that in the group. And then we've got people who are running one-man businesses. Yeah. So it's like, we will chunk this. So so actually loosely it still sits where we are now, which is we've got a group of founders. So we loosely, 1 to 5 is our founder group. So it's either people just want to stay at 1, or they're on the growth journey, or it's a lifestyle. A couple of people. Then we've got our growth, which is effectively our scale up. People who are past that point, 5 to 50 generally, and then enterprise group, which is 50 plus heads. So all the groups actually are they're wildly different in terms of what they talk about. And what they need and what they want, but we provide a safe haven where people can. Running a recruitment business is a lonely job. Yeah. So we provide somewhere where someone can come and ask a question that would have happened to someone else, and they can get advice to do it. So, it's been great. I mean, it's a 5-year overnight success. So, but it's where we set it up. It's been great lead flow for our businesses, for Dalter and Charlotte's Rec to Rec, for my advisory business, and also as well, it's free to join, and we've monetized it through some amazing partnerships, including your own.
Exactly right. So you're hanging out with recruitment leaders, owners of agencies all the time, every day. What's going on right now? So at the beginning of 2026, it's been a rough time for some in the last 12, 18 months, maybe a bit longer. What's your take? What are people saying to you now? What are the expectations for 2026?
I think to say, actually, I think it's been a tough time for everyone. 99% of businesses last year weren't having record years unless you're very new and growth. And last year, if a business made a profit, had done well, there was many that didn't. There was many that didn't make it through. And it's been like this for the last certainly 2 years. And everyone's calling the bottom. I've done it a couple of times, and it still hasn't hit the bottom. But what we found was a very strong finish to 25, and it's interesting actually. One of my customers works with an accounting firm, and they've got 100 recruitment businesses. Okay. So they've actually got a good view of the market, not just a gut feel like I have, but actually a good view of the market. And to sum up last year, Q1 appalling, Q2 not great, Q3 okay, and Q4 really good.
Okay.
That would be I paraphrase, but that was a feeling. And actually that's my feeling of how, well, a lot of businesses started finished November and December strongly. And January has started well for, I think, all of my advisories. They're all up and doing well in January. Confidence is up, and I think recruitment's very much a confidence game.
Hiring again internally?
Everyone I know is hiring.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So, and I think it's probably a bit more selective than it has been in the past. It's not like 21 where if you can fill a seat, you can fill a job. But right now, everyone I know is actively looking to grow this year. And I think it's probably a mixture of the data's good. It feels like job flows are up, and that's what I'm seeing. But also, I think people are, if we don't, it's grow or die.
Yeah,
we're either going to grow this, or we're not going to sit around for another 2 years.
I think people are getting fed up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's recruitment's the best job in the world when it's going well. It's terrible when it's not. So very much, I think people have just and there's been a lot of people left the industry as well. So if job flow is similar to what it was 2 years, and there's 30 best people, depending on which made up LinkedIn stat you want to believe, in the industry, then there's going to be more opportunity.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I hope you're right. So out of the people that you're talking to at the moment, the founders that are doing well, that are hiring, that are expecting things to pick up, what is it that they're doing? What are they engaging in? What's working?
I think founder is, and it depends on the size of the business. So, if it's a small business, the founders are leading from the front, they're the best salesperson, they're the best example, they're the face of the business. As they grow, they need to get other people to replicate that. They need to get other people to buy in and become the journey to be that and to build the brand. So I guess the best founders I've seen have been able to transition from them being brilliant to their brand being brilliant.
Yeah. Very difficult. Easier said than done.
It sounds really easy when I said it.
Yeah.
But actually that...
Coming off the tools and expecting your team to be as good as you is something that we hear a lot.
Yeah, and the other thing I do say to founders is no one cares about your business as much as you do.
Yeah.
So if you think back to the hierarchy of needs, so actually when you get people who come close to that, hang on to them, work with them, reward them, and those are the companies that do really well when that company can outgrow that original founder, and it would be okay, if not even better, without that founder in the business.
Okay. And specifically within recruitment, we're seeing lots of people trying or wanting to move to be more strategic partners, that more consulting role versus maybe a more traditional commodity provider, like bums on seats and filling roles. This is something that we've been seeing in the last couple of years. Are owners, directors embracing this in your experience, or shying away?
Yeah, no, I think definitely there is an embracement of it, and I think it's moving from product sale to solution sell, and it suits some people, doesn't suit everyone. What I would say is it's very difficult to go in and get that sort of, we're going to come in, we're going to be your talent partner, we're going to do everything for you without that initial proof that you can deliver. So what I am seeing is people trying to upsell those relationships and do more with the companies, with the customers they have. And most companies actually, most recruitment firms don't need more customers. They just need to do more with the customers they have.
Interesting. So if someone's running a recruitment business right now and they're feeling the squeeze from the last 12 to 18 months, what should they be focusing on?
I think there's a tendency in a downturn to look at costs, and don't get me wrong, costs are absolutely important, but the easiest thing a recruitment company can do to move the needle is to make more sales. So I would actually say do things that aren't intuitive, and I'll give you an example. In a downturn, what do people look to cut? They look to cut training, they look to cut marketing, they look to cut advisory. And actually, you actually need to train your people better. You need to market your product better, and you need better advice in a downturn. So I would actually say be comfortable being counterintuitive on your feeling, because what does your business? People look at what their business looks like in 3 months, 6 months. What does your business look like in 5 years? So if you don't hire that person or you don't train that person, the compound effect of, we didn't train that person for a year, so they weren't as good as they could have been in 5 years' time. The compounding effect of that is massive.
Yeah.
So for me, I think realize where, look at businesses 5 years. If I look at my advisory business, 5 years, first two were epically good, but then I'm running it with a full head of steam. Then I got comfortable. Then the market changed a bit. Over 5 years, it's been brilliant. And at 5 years ago, you said, but in the last year or two, it's been tougher on the advisory side because customers are looking at potentially doing a bit less. They're looking to reduce their cost base, and actually I'm seeing it come back now. It's great. The level of inbound I have is fantastic. Probably the best it's been in 2 or 3 years, which also is a nice symbol. But the frustrating thing is I really could have helped these companies 2 years ago when they probably really, really needed it. And perhaps with the benefit of experience, and now probably they'll see it the benefit of hindsight, we'd have maybe have done things differently.
Yeah. And it's the same, we hear the similar sort of story from a marketing perspective. It's one of the costs that's easiest to cut, first to cut, but can have a lasting and deep impact. And actually through harder times, the agencies that have survived and thrived out of the other side have doubled down. We had some great years during COVID when people found they had a bit more time and they thought, well, now's the time to lean in and invest in our marketing and our brand and our messaging. And it paid dividends to those that did versus those that cut back. So, it's an interesting take. So what's next for you and your two businesses that you're running? What does the next 5 years look like?
Wow, the next 5 years. As a strategic advisor, I should really have a strategy. Yeah. So I think for me, I've come to a point in my career where the two businesses, the Recspand business advisory, I have two choices. I continue to do what I'm doing, or I bring on other advisors, and then. But for me, the bit I enjoy is the advisory. I don't want to be managing 7 or 8 other consultants, booking their work, getting complaints about them, that type of thing. I actually just want to come and help businesses and work on interesting projects. Nice thing for me is that every time I take on a new customer, I learn something new. I meet new people. It's challenging. Some of them I've been through before, but as an advisor, you get kicks vicariously in seeing people that you backed make deals. In terms of, I think in terms of, I think one of the biggest impacts I've had is stopping people hiring people that weren't right for their business, that I think would have got through had I not have posed a few questions, potentially taken a couple of references, posed, and so I think for me as well, but just those little wins. So for me, the advisory business, for RecWired, I think we've got a real opportunity to grow the community and go a lot further. So we've built out our training platform, Train with Orca, which is fantastic. We've got a big announcement coming up of a major enterprise customer that we've signed, and we're going to be doing all their training, which is fantastic. So I guess just getting knowledge, helping out there, and just paying it forward. When COVID hit, when we set up the group, all we did was give away our time and advice and understanding and opinion for free. So just more of the same on that. The lovely thing about that as a business is as a subscription business, it grows. We can grow the business because we're freemium. And just keep going at that. I've got to keep doing it a while. My first son went to university last week. Frightening. And 2 more girls that will be going the same route as well. So I've got to, those bills aren't going to pay themselves.
I'm with you. My eldest goes to university in September.
Oh wow.
And then there's 3 more following after that. So
yeah,
same kind of thing.
Got to sell some websites.
Got to sell some more sites. Well, look, you're clearly doing something right. You have over 1,000 members in your communities. So really appreciate you coming in, flying all this way from Cape Town just for me. That's very, very kind.
No, it's fun.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. No problems doing it.
Are you ready for our quick fire round?
100%.
All right. So what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Best piece of advice I've ever been given. I've been given some great advice, but it was actually from a management consultant from Hallett. I think the guy's name was Tony Chown, And he came in, looked at our business, and he said, recruitment's like surfing. And I'm like, this is interesting.
Okay.
And he said, it's not about how good you are as a surfer, it's about finding the right wave.
Nice. Very good. What do you know now that you wish you knew when you started?
I actually feel that it's the power of humility. When I look back at how I was when I started, and I was we worked in a hostile sales environment. It was quite dog eat dog, quite arrogant. I genuinely look back and cringe at probably how status obsessed I was. So humility probably would be.
Very good. What's the one thing that recruitment business owners get wrong?
The one thing they get wrong? Only one.
Yeah.
So I think the main thing they got, that they often put their faith in the wrong people. So, and it's a gut feel, not evidence based. So for me, I think, either letting go good people, or hiring the wrong people, or keeping the people. But I think, not trusting the evidence.
What's one tool or resource that you've used that's helped you get ahead?
I mean, using a CRM always used to get me ahead. I was able to outpace my competitors because I was just stronger on the data. There's an expression that blunt pencils are better than sharp minds, and I think very much just using data. Right now, some of the tools that can help streamline your work. I look at Calendly. I look at we're using Quill now, Co-Recruit. Has just made it very, very easy for me to move things quickly. But it still underpins. If I look at why I think we're able to bring on the partnerships we do at RecWired, is because we understand our members, we know our members, and everything is backed off to data. We can give very targeted acts. So for me, using the information you have, storing the information you have, and more importantly, being able to get at it quickly when you need it.
Yeah. What's the bravest decision you've ever made?
The bravest decision? That's a brilliant question. I don't know if I've ever made any brave decisions.
Moving abroad, leaving SThree,
no, but
setting
I
up two businesses.
I think they were things that sort of whether or not they were decisions or whether or not they were things that would just happen through circumstance. So for me, I'm not sure whether a brave decision. I think probably if I was to say the bravest decision was leaving marriage, and I know that's a personal one.
Yeah.
But I was in a situation where it wasn't great. We were probably just hanging around for the kids.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'd given it pretty much everything, and that for me was, if I think back to actually brave decisions, that's probably the bravest one I've taken.
Yeah, rings true. So what's the strangest thing that recruitment has done for you?
Strangest thing? That's a really good question. If you can indulge me, this is probably a couple of minutes of stories, but you probably leads in. So in 2012, I went on a skinny MBA leadership course.
Okay.
SThree put 12 of us through it at Henley Business School, and it was fantastic. And really, he worked on some real life projects in the business. You had 4 or 5 really spot on lecturers who really challenged you and thought about yourself. And so during this, they do the standard assessment profiles, and then they give you a personal coach who will take you through things. And so I did this profile, Hogan profile, I think it was. And the guy's coming to debrief me on my profile. And he says, "You're a bright guy." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." He goes, "Yeah, because if you wouldn't have a job." And I'm like, "Okay, this isn't going how I felt." He said, "You've got the lowest recorded score for emotional intelligence at the Henley Business School."
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm like, "That's a good thing, yeah?" He said, "No." But as a commercial director, it's quite good because you're dispassionate about results. But being a good human and working in a team is probably not as good. So and actually, I remember the discussion he said is we sort of worked out, and you can improve EQ. And it was actually Lauren DiVentura, who was our head of learning and development, sort of gave me some tips on how to do it. And when I looked into all this, a lot of it involves around stress. So I'd take bad decisions under stress and load, and that's not good. So I went on this journey, and the guy's like, right, well, we can help you, de-stress, and he actually said we can spend 2 or 3 years working out how you take better decisions under stress. Or we can try and do it in half an hour to an hour. You can just chill out. I'm like, okay, look, I'm sure my company would rather pay for that version of it. So we're doing the conversation, and one of the things he said is, when do you know you're being stressed? What are your trigger points? And I was thinking through it, and I've ever since I was a child, I had eczema. Okay. And I knew that a trigger point was I'd start to scratch, and it gets to the point where literally my fingers almost, the skin's coming off, and it's painful and scraping. And I'm like, oh yeah, I get this, trigger point next week. Goes, okay. So what we're going to do, go for an exercise. When you feel this trigger point, then stop, just work out what you're doing, unpack it all, and it'll be fine. And I remember I was going into work. It was one of those days, when you've just got traffic, you don't know why you've got traffic. You're there at the light's gone green, the light's gone red, and you've not moved. And it goes through a couple of cycles of that. Anyway, start scratching. I'm like, this is my trigger point. This is the test. My coach was a guy called Dennis Sartan. He said, yeah, okay, do it. So I'm like, why am I getting stressed? I'm stressed because I'm going to be late. I'm like, why am I stressed about being late? Because we've got a culture in the office about being like, everyone's in on time. And then I'm like, why do I care about that? So I'm going into the Reading office. I'm a director of the business. It's, I'm not normally, okay. It's actually okay. And there's only about 4 people there. We're closing the office next month anyway. They don't know that. But so I like literally
more stress.
But I'm literally like, okay, this isn't a hill to fight and die on. And from that minute on, the itching stopped. The lights went green, and I think I got in on time. And from that day on, I haven't had eczema.
Amazing.
And every time I just get a little stressed, I'm literally like, okay, I know this is so business school / recruitment cured my eczema.
Recruitment cured my eczema.
Cured my.
Nice.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, and it's things like that you take those experiences, and also it helps you with, then other people, actually just, why does this matter? There's a very good technique called the 5 whys as well. I don't know if you've...
Go on.
So, again, this is another learn from recruitment. I was very lucky. SThree put me on a Lean Six Sigma course. And the thing that really struck me, the exercise we did was called, I think it was 5 whys, and it's the idea that people you look for the end solution, or you look for the simplest solution. So I remember this exercise, and I don't know if this is a real thing or just brilliant, but apparently in Washington, I've never been, there's the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Memorial. And there are these 2 things. Then there's similar buildings at either end of a park, and they were apparently they were made of the same stone, and the Lincoln Memorial was apparently wearing out quicker than the Washington Memorial. So they did a project to find out why, and it turns out they were actually washing the Lincoln Memorial more often, twice as much.
Simple as that.
Yeah. So, but okay, why? So rather than that, normally what you just do is say, we'll just wash them the same. But it was like, well, why are we washing? And it turns out that there was an inordinately different amount of bird mess on the Lincoln Memorial. So it's okay, right? Okay, put nets up, shoot. No, why? Why are birds more likely to go and crap on the Lincoln Memorial? So it's like, okay. And so they looked around, was there any... and it turns out that on the trees, there was... the birds were flocking to the trees more in the Lincoln Memorial. So it's like, okay, so, all right, cut down the trees, take the... no, but why would they more... And it turns out when they looked, there was a parasite on the leaves by the Lincoln tree and the Lincoln Memorial. So, okay, normally your solution for that will spray all the trees, get rid of the parasite, the birds. It's like, but why are the parasites here more often than that? And it turns out the parasites were attracted to fluorescent light, and the Washington Memorial had incandescent light. So the answer was to change the light bulb. Change the light bulb.
Nice.
And it's things like that there's always possibly look for the simpler solution and be curious as to why. So, yeah, I mean, if anyone is in business, and certainly data-driven businesses or services, product businesses, any business actually, Lean Six Sigma is such a great course.
All right, so where can people go to find out more, find out about RecWired and everything that you're doing?
Yeah, so obviously the standard answer for anyone in staffing is go to LinkedIn.
Yep.
We're there. Links to all the businesses there. So Recspand, I'm there, and you can go to my website, recspand.com, find me on LinkedIn. RecWired.com, we just keep it really simple like that, recwired.com. And it's free for founders to join. And it's just send us the form on the website, and if we'll get in touch, find out the appropriate group, find out what you're looking to get out of the groups, you're more than welcome to join. And then trainwithorca.com. Big announcements coming, but really proud of that. 20 world-class trainers in recruitment space on that, lots of lessons.
Brilliant.
I think you're coming on board to provide us some content for for that, but best in class. And we're building that, building it out. I'm very pleased with what we've achieved in the last couple of years on that.
Amazing. Well, look, Andy, thanks again. Congrats on your success. And thanks for your partnership, your friendship, and showing up today. Really appreciate it.
Likewise. And thanks. Additivity and RecSite has been a great partner for us. The members, and certainly since you took over that business, the quality, the response we get from RecSite's customers is brilliant. So thanks again.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Andy. That's it for this episode of Off the Record. If you found this useful, insightful, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you've got a story worth telling and you're in recruitment, then please reach out and get in touch. I'm Alex Fairs. Thanks for hanging out with us.